All versions of Angular you have worked?
Angular 2 plus Angular JS I have been worked and Angular 2 plus versions.
On what are like two placements or
Sorry.
yeah, exactly. I would like to know like what are on what versions you have worked.
Um, we keep on updating our versions. I 2, 3, 6, 7, 8 times.
Okay, fine, no problem.
Up to 8 I have been worked.
Okay, okay. So can you tell me like what all lifecycle hookups present in Angular?
Yeah, ng on changes, ng on init, ng do check, ng content init, ng after content checked, ng view init, ng after view checked, ng on destroy.
Okay. So in what scenario you will use what? Which lifecycle hookup?
Yeah, basically ng on changes. If while I'm loading, I mean it will load after the constructor and before the ng on init.
Hmm.
If I want to load, if I have some changes like input, I'm getting it from any I mean anything my parent component, or if I want to observe some changes, which my input thing is, if I want to observe some changes for some input or select box. So in that cases, we can use ng on changes. Ng on init, if for example, at the time after the ng on changes, ng on init will load. For example, I have a scenario like while page loading I need to for example I after the at the time of page loading only I just want to show employee details, for example. So at the time, I mean at the time of page loading only I need to call that what that method, employee details method. So in that case I will call that method in ng on init and ng check. ng check is like for some changes, Angular itself won't identify some changes in Angular. So in that case, we just use ng check. It will for which input box or select box or anything we want to observe some changes which Angular won't identify itself. So in that case, we can use ng check. ng after content in it. So ng after content in it is like I have a directive in my page, so I want to observe changes in it. What are the input it is coming? Like I want to observe those changes. So in that case, we can use ng after init, ng after content init, and ng after ng content of checked. So that is also similar purpose, like a directive changes which you want to observe. I mean that changes a lot. After at ng view unit, ng view unit is like I have a page child component and I'm importing the child component in my component by using attribute child, and I want to observe the changes which were doing in that that child component. So that view checked. And ng on destroy. ng on destroy is like if I want to clear before destroying my component some observables, or if I want to clear some intervals. So in that case, we need to write that code in ng on destroy.
Okay, fine. I'm thinking you one question. Can you tell me the output of that? Can you tell me what would be the output of it? Okay, fine.
It will split with space. Did you use space in that, or just
No,
you are splitting?
no, there is no space. Just double quote. Output.
A N G A S
Okay, okay, fine, got it.
A L.
Can you share your screen and create one Angular component? If you're okay, you can write in the chat as well. No problem. So, what are different directives that you have worked on?
We have some predefined directives like ng for ng. What? I mean, some predefined directives which were declared by Angular, and like some custom directives, element directives, attribute directives.
Like, have you worked on any directives?
Custom directives you are asking?
No, any predefined as well.
Ng, ng for ng if,
Okay.
ng
No
for
problem.
and which start with star.
Okay, no problem. No issue. So, can you write a code to create a custom directive? Like, pseudo code. You let us know in which scenario you like. What are the basic differences between these two?
Yeah, promises basically for a both will return success or failure based on the API response. Promises basically like we can't handle multiple requests at a time in promise, but whereas in observables you can handle multiple requests. In promise, initialization, declaration, and calling both are same, but in observable both are different. After declaration, we need to subscribe it, then only it will call. Otherwise, it won't call. Yeah, promise we can't cancel promise, but whereas in observable we can cancel observable by unsubscribing it.
Have you created any pipes, or do you have idea on pipes,
Yeah,
custom pipes?
I have. If I want to transform the data before it is displaying into
Hmm.
UI, we can use pipes. So, like we have some pipes like uppercase, lowercase, and what date.
Hmm.
Mm, yeah, we have some pipes. Yeah, we can create pipes by using add pipe decorator. In that we have a transform method. In the transform method, we need to write our logic. We need to write
Okay, okay, fine. And can we use ng for and ng if directive together?
in one for one div.
Yeah.
One div we can't.
Why?
Both structural directive we can't use for one div. It will throw error. We need to give one below another. For one
So,
div, we need to give ng. For one other, we need to give ng.
suppose the scenario is there is a list of employees, and if
Okay.
employee salary is greater than 25,000, I want to
Okay.
display that on the screen. So, how you will
Oh.
give a solution to this?
For you have an employee list, we
Yeah.
need to display that employee list which is salary is 20,
Yeah. If
greater than 25,000.
yeah.
So first div I will add ng for.
Hmm.
So if for ng for I will loop that employees array. So after in below in lower thing label we can give anything. So in that label I will add a condition employee dot salary is greater than 20 ng if employee dot salary is greater than 25,000. Then only
Yeah.
it will display.
This is straightforward answer. Yeah, simple one. So if at all I don't want to use like only one div I want to use, and at the div level itself I want to know, I will display like I'll decide that salaries who are greater than 25,000 are getting displayed. How? If you have any idea on that?
We can use ng container for another one. For ng container, you can use that ng if you don't want to use ng if at all, or you don't want to use two divs.
I don't want to use two divs.
Yeah, one div you can replace with ng container.
Okay. Any other approach?
We can sort out that error in component.
Okay, fine. Can you write a logic to sort employees? There is an employee list, so you need to display the employee list in the ascending order of names. So can you write that logic piece of logic like how you would sort that list of employees?
We have an employees array. We need to sort based on their name.
Yes. So can you tell me like in how many ways we can transfer the data between components?
Yeah, if it is from parent to child, we can use at input. If it is from child to parent, we can use at output event emitter. And if we can use services and we can use observables, behavior, subject. If we don't have any relationship between them,
Okay. So on all the three you have worked.
I have worked on at input, at output, and subject, behavioral subject and such. Uh,
Okay. So why do we use services in Angular?
Basically, it will maintain the data.
Hmm.
For example, basically we will write API code in that, I mean HTTP API calls in that service.ts.
Hmm.
If I have any API calls which I need to call, I mean that data, that related data, we will just do in that service, and we will just include that service in components, and we call whichever method we want from that. And in some scenarios, I want to just store the data, and I have a data which I need across my application. I mean, more than two, three components, I need some data. For example, I have employee data, I need that employee data across my applications. So, for example, his role, his name, and all these things.
Hmm.
So I can set that data in one service in that particular thing, that do in one service, and I can use that data whichever I want, wherever, yeah, wherever I want in between, in components,
Okay.
and we
So,
can share the data between our components, which wherever we want, we can use that.
what is the importance of index.html in Angular?
Basically, it will start loading our application from there.
Okay. So, can we have multiple index.html files?
We can't, I guess, for one application we have only one. I never tried this scenario. I think only one. I mean, we should have only one because it will start from there. If we give two, it will be confused, I guess.
So, Angular application loads or it starts?
Nodes are starts.
Yeah, it gets loaded or it
Angular
starts.
application will load. Yeah, it will load from uh, what app module.ts. I mean main.ts and app module.ts. Then we will do bootstrap from there. It will start our application.
Okay.
So it will load
Okay.
that
Fine.
modules and all these things.
So, can I have two components with the same names in different modules?
In different modules.
Yeah.
Yes, we can have.
Okay. Fine. So, can you explain the dependency injection in Angular?
Basically, it will avoid repetitive code. For example, I have a. I mean, it will easy us to write. I mean, code. It will be easy us to maintain that code. For example, I have a service, and I wrote all the code in that related to that, and I import that service into my component, and not only one component, in which component I can use, which component I need that particular service, I can import it. I can use them. For example, directives, pipes, that we can just include them into our components or modules, and we can use them. So it will be easy for us to maintain our code, and it will be avoid code reusability. I mean, code repetitive code, and it will be easy for us to maintain the code. I mean, just basically we need to import them, and we need to include our components or services wherever we are using, and we need to use those methods and all.
Oh, okay. Okay. Fine. Can you tell me like what is at the rate view child and at the rate content child?
View child is like if I want to access any child methods in my parent component, then I can use view at view child, and yet in that at view child I can use by using the template element ref. By using that element ref, and I need to include that component, I can access which method I want from that what child component. One more after content, what you content child.
Yeah, content child.
I think I never used that.
Okay, no problem, no issues, no issues. So, like, do you know like what is the process of inserting an embedded view from a prepared template ref?
Embedded view, dynamic view,
Hmm?
or it is from parent or something like that.
It's a dynamic.
You want to know dynamic HTML or dynamic what part of HTML? That's what you're asking.
Yes. Okay, fine, no problem. I got it. So the next question is what like Can you tell me the difference between stateless and stateful component? If you're aware of
No,
it,
I
fine. No, okay, fine, no problem, no problem. See, this there is a situation like a user has logged in into a application.
okay.
So if he's staying ideal for like some time, like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you should throw a pop up saying you are ideal for so and so minutes.
Yes,
So can you tell me how
yes.
would you achieve this? You got the question?
Yes, yes, I got. I mean, every application we have that one
Hmm.
actually. I mean, generally we will show that pop up
Yeah,
before. I mean, application is logging out or something like that.
yeah. If at all there is any movement, then again the timer
Yeah,
that
yeah,
should be restarted.
yeah. We need to maintain that the times in config in config. Mm,
No issues. Do you know? How do you have any idea on template-driven forms?
yes.
Can you explain?
Yeah, basically template driven forms is like we just find the data and we will get the data set the data by using ng model,
Mhm.
what expressions ng bind kind of things, normal Angular provided directives by using.
Okay, fine. So can you tell me the difference between dirty, pristine, touch?
Dirty means if I touch anything in that, it will throw. I mean, if I touch, then dirty will be true.
Mhm.
If by pristine means opposite to dirty, I mean, if I touch anything, then it will be true. False. One
Mhm.
more.
Another is touch.
Touch.
Hmm.
Mm, touch, I don't know.
Okay, no problem. Do you know what is the difference between pure and impure pipes?
Yeah, pure pipe is like it will change for every change, whether input change or any other change. Also, it will call that pure pipe.
Hmm.
Impure pipe will call only parameter changes. But
Okay, fine. So have you worked on routing?
yes,
So basically, can you explain like how your application, your current application gets loaded?
based on routing only, we are current application get loaded. First we need to import that router module and we will give routes, and based on routes we will give which component we need to load.
Hmm.
In that way, we have router outlet. In that router outlet, our template will be
Hmm.
loaded in that.
Okay. So
And we have that in routing based on role up implementation. I mean, we were implemented based on role. For that one, we just used a can activate.
hmm.
So in that can activate, we were just using logic which role. I mean, for that we will check for that particular page.
Hello. You're breaking actually. Your voice is breaking actually completely. Can you repeat? So you'll use Connective after that?
Yeah, can active. I mean, in that can activate, we will check for that page, for that particular page has access to for that particular user or not. If he has access to that page, then only we will display. Otherwise, we will display some. We don't have access, something like that message.
Okay, fine. So can you tell me the difference between inject and injectable?
At the rate injectable is like for service creation.
Hmm.
Basically, it will tell we are creating a service.
Hmm.
At the rate inject, use and inject. Inject, I don't know.
Okay, so
Injectable it is for service.
no problem, no issue. Do you have any experience in working with Angular animation module?
Angular animations.
Uh,
I mean, UI material.
yeah, UI material.
UI material I used, but I never use the animations in that.
Okay, fine, fine. So, do you use any type of cache?
We will just using local storage.
Yeah, okay, you're storing local. So, is it a good approach to store in the local storage?
Yeah, but it will avoid what it will avoid multiple API calls, right? So if we are storing, for example, I have a drop-down data. I mean, we have multiple drop-down data in our application. So at the first time, we are just storing that into our local storage. If we have the data in our local storage, we just avoiding those API calls. So it will be easy for us to maintain. I mean, easy for us to. I mean, it is avoiding multiple API calls for those drop downs, and it will decrease the load on database, right? So
Okay.
yeah, in this scenario, it is useful for our
O-
application.
Okay. So, one question is, so in one tab, like I have stored employee object in the local storage. So
Okay,
I have opened the same application in the next tab.
okay.
Can I access that data there?
Sorry. In one tab, you
So
used
the
to
application
this.
was opened in one tab.
Okay.
So in that a component got loaded, and in that component we are setting an employee object into the local storage.
Yes. Yes.
I
Yeah.
have opened one more tab. I have opened the same application. So will the employee object available there?
Yes. Yes. It will be available whenever we clear the cache. Then only it will be gone. Otherwise, it will be available up to that in that post.
Okay, fine. So in a situation where there is an issue, or your application is loading very slow in the production. So what all things you will
Okay.
check, and what all fixes you will try to give so that the loading period reduces.
First of all, we will check for SQL queries procedures. There.
UI application,
Sorry.
in the UI application.
In the UI application, first we need to see our logics if we are using lot of for loops there or not.
Mhm.
If we are using multiple for, I mean, if we are using for large data, if we are using for loops, then we need to avoid. I mean, we need to write something else for that, and we need to see API calls if we can decrease those API calls or not. And in case if we are doing API calls one after another, for we can do in that case. I mean, we can see if in that case we can use multiple API calls at a time. So we can do that also. I mean, it will reduce the time, right? One after another, it will take a lot of time. If we are executing multiple, if those are not dependent, then it will be easy for us. So otherwise, we can see like at the time of first time, what components, which components we are loading, whether we are loading lot of components or whether we are loading lot of things at the time of logging in. So that if we are loading lot of components, we can split them into one module. For login thing, we can just load whatever we want, login page and some page dashboard page. So we can split them into one module and we can just load at that module at the time of logging in. So we can do that and we can avoid remaining modules to be loaded at the first. So we can do that also. We can check like we are using any unwanted node modules. We can remove them also. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, fine. No, correct. So yeah, so your application loaded, and you have
Okay.
hit one API call. So that API has written 1 lakh records.
Okay.
So how would you display the data here?
Do you want to display in grid?
It's up to you.
Yeah, if I want to display it in grid, then I can implement pagination.
Hmm.
So first call, I will just load whatever records I want,
Hmm.
and in next first API call, I just load 20 records or something. So in pagination, along with pagination, I just if I click on two, I just do another API call, and I will get another 20 records from there.
Okay.
So
So
just like that, I will avoid all the records at a time. So
okay.
it will decrease our time also.
Okay. So if at all, where do you store the other records then?
We don't need to store from database only. We will get only 20 records.
No, no, no. I am saying, yeah, I know that concept of returning 10, 10, 20. I am
Yeah.
saying the API has written 1 lakh records at a time. There was some issue at the API side, they haven't handled it, so all the records came up.
Okay.
So in that scenario, I'm asking
So in that scenario, in UI also we have 1,000 records.
1 lakh records.
Sorry, 1 lakh records.
So you will display all the same at the same time.
No, we just need to split them and we just need to display in pagination also there. But we have all the records here. We can split them. We will display. But we have all the data. We can't do anything because all the data came to UI.
Hmm.
So in UI, I have all the data. So I just need to split the data and I just need to implement pagination for them, whichever data I have.
So even if you are implementing pagination, what would be the advantage there?
It will be user friendly. I mean, we can't display 1,000 records at a time, right?
Hmm.
So we can display, but it is not a good practice, and it will be. It's not like a good way to see. So we can whatever we can do is we can just as per my knowledge we can just display them into pagination as we have already data in UI. So if I want, I can just store in some service. If I want, I can get at the time of at the time of implementing pagination from that service. That's what we can do because already came to UI.
Okay.
Um, in UI only, I need to handle all the data. So
Okay. Can you name few frequently used Angular commands?
commands:
Yeah.
N-
NG commands. Yeah.
npm install,
Okay.
ng build,
What will
npm
happen with
start.
what will happen with npm install?
Every time we can't commit all the node modules. We won't commit all the node modules, right? So
Hmm.
we will commit only package.json. So if I do npm, if I get update and if I do npm install, whatever dependencies in that package.json, it will be installed in node modules.
Okay.
So it will generally basically create node modules.
Hmm.
So ng build, it will run our application.
It will directly run or it will do any other thing as well.
npm start, it internally run.
Sorry.
npm start will internally run ng build.
Okay. What ng will actually do?
It will compile all our code.
Oh, okay. So do you have experience in Jasmine?
Yes.
Okay. So can you write a sample Jasmine code or a test case?
Basically, I forgot exact what things. I mean, I what syntaxes.
Okay.
So I will write.
Yeah, yeah. Just give it a try at least.
In spec.ts, we need to write this, and we need to import our components and dependencies, whichever dependencies we have on that component,
Hmm.
and that after we need to create a test bed for that particular component. If we have services, we need to import the services also, and in that test bed for that component, and if we need to create a method, it is like init. We need to create a for every method in component. We need to create a method here.
Hmm.
So that method name, in that we need to implement. If we have some mock data, like for example, I'm writing it for logging in. So I just mock the data. For example, I have a username and password, which is expecting that after that I'm doing API call. So I need to mock that username and password. I need to give those values from here, what it is expecting.
Okay.
So after that, I need to spy on that particular method in that particular service. and I need to what spy on. After that, I need to do is like I need to write a expect statement from. We need to expect which thing we are expecting that from after API call you will expect some status success or failure, right?
Yeah.
We need to we need to store that what spy on thing in one variable, and from that variable if response is a variable, we will expect response to be or to equal or to be, so our expect statement.
Yeah, got it, got it. So, do you have any hands-on experience on NG Formly?
ng,
Formly,
what is that? Ng formally.
yeah.
I'm first time hearing this
No,
name.
no issue, no issues. Fine. So that's it from my end. If you have any question, you can ask.